Hello, hello guys. This is for fun, in part for fun, but in part I'm serious. I want to give a minimal operative definition of free will and show that there exists at least one machine, an hypothetical machine that is capable of such free will. You might not agree, but then you have to come up with a definition of free will that, usually people just discuss this object and don't define it. So I might be wrong, but this will be my machine and my definition. So let's start here. We have a box. We have this box into the environment. Now this box has receptors. These are all receptors. And then this box receives inputs from the environment and it collects them through the receptors. Now, attached to the receptors, there are some smaller little boxes. They collect information from the receptors. And then they perform computations. So these little units are performing computations. They also might be connected to each other in some form, some way. So this computation might be very complex. And then here I put another box, a unit. These units collects the information from the other smaller subunits. Now I'll make an hypothesis, which is not necessary, but it helps in the description. And what I'm going to say, the hypothesis is that what will happen next, what I'm going to describe that will happen next, will happen in an interval of time, delta t, so small that during that time there is no relevant input from the environment to the box. So all that is going to happen next, and I'm talking about next, is happening without any input received by the box from the environment. Here, this box performs another huge computation, and it comes up with three numbers. It comes up with three numbers. In general, these three numbers will be associated with part 1, part 2, part 3, which are three different outputs. Now, I make an additional hypothesis. I'm not sure that is necessary for the crudest definition of free will, but for our purposes, I think it's helpful to make this hypothesis. And the hypothesis will be that there will be also receptors near these exits, and these receptors and this computation also associated to the numbers 1 through 3 is also, this computation is also capable to some degree to calculate in the computation what is the likely input that will be received at these receptors if the solution 1, 2, or 3 is taken. To be more specific, let's say number 1 is selected, then 2 and 3 will be excluded, so the output would go in this direction. As a result, there might be an input received from the environment, received by these receptors, and this calculation has some capability of making some crude prediction of what kind of input will be received from the environment. Might solution 1 be taken, or solution 2 will be taken. In this case, it will be this receptor. In this case, it would be this receptor here. So this is just a computation that has associated with the three numbers, the three solutions, and also the calculation also includes some information about the possible inputs that will be received. This is, for example, connected to some memory that is somewhere in the box that interacts with this. So this is the origin for this kind of crude prediction. Then all these information is sent to another subunit that performs another computation and sends back the number, let's say 2. At this point, this machine will proceed and will take the direction 2. So 1 and 3 will be discarded. So discharged. So this will take solution 2. All these computations, as I say again, have happened in a time interval in which no input was received from the environment. So here, for example, there is an ice cream. Box will eat the ice cream. Here there might have been another box, the little man, and the instruction was to destroy the box or kill the man. These are 2 different solutions, and then 2 was the output of the computation. 3 was, well, this is clearly not my brain. Here, number 3 was make a YouTube video, which is what I did. So, unfortunately for you, it was solution 3. Well, this machine responded solution 2. So, here we are. And more or less, this is all that I wanted to say. And now I just want to point out that nothing has coerced this machine to take 1, 2, or 3. Nothing that is outside the box. It's been the result of the computation. More specifically, the answer has been given by this little subunit here that has selected through a computation the answer. No coercion with respect at least to this limited choice. I'm not saying that there are huge number of inputs, outputs going all the time, but in this particular choice there was no outside influence, and there were clearly 3 distinct courses of action that could have been taken. So then all that is left, so I'm not saying this is how the brain works, how we work. I'm just showing that there is at least one mechanism in which we can define free will, and then there is no coercing force that prevents the machine to act independently to some degree to the rest of the environment. So the environment here that we see is everything from the true environment to the nervous system that sends inputs to the brain, and then this is some part of the brain that just performs computations. Then if we make a mapping between the computations and what are our desires, our feelings, that even the most hard determinists must agree on, is that certainly have ideas, we certainly perceive the world around us in some complex way, and so this must be the mapping. What we perceive is just the way the computations are mapped into the real world. So we are just the product of these computations, and then if we have delusion of having free will, it might be because this is where the computation is being performed. So this is what I wanted to say. I hope it's clear. I hope someone will just try to rebut these rather than always talking about other things. And if this definition of free will is not satisfying, I hope they will come up with an alternative definition of free will that here, as we see, if we accept this definition, no law of nature, no law of physics prevents this from happening. There is no law that has been violated. I mean, this whole action and reaction, this is computation, and then maybe even the machine like that could be built from a purely deterministic process, even, maybe. So help me with that, and bye bye. Hope you had some fun.